The 2015 Bombay Hook Quarter entered circulation as part of the America the Beautiful Quarters program, a series of coins commemorating national parks and historical sites across the United States. The Bombay Hook National Wildlife Refuge in Delaware was chosen to be the highlight of the coin for that year, its tranquil marshlands and serene waterfowl offering a refreshing contrast to the more rugged landscapes featured in previous releases. Struck in large quantities at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, the coin's intricate reverse design featured a great blue heron in the foreground, a great egret in the background, and rippling marsh water stretching out beneath them. The image was serene, almost poetic in its calm simplicity. From a production standpoint, there were no anticipated complications. The dies had been thoroughly reviewed, the artwork approved by multiple design committees, and the minting process aligned with high-speed production standards. And yet, as it has happened throughout minting history, a silent anomaly emerged from the precise dance of steel and pressure. Not all the coins bore the exact signature the mint had intended. In a small number of the 2015 Bombay Hook Quarters, something unplanned slipped through the machinery. Something subtle, yet glaring. Once noticed, the discovery was made by an amateur numismatist named Caleb Morrison. He wasn't a dealer or a professional appraiser, just a retired history teacher who collected coins with the same methodical patience he had used while grading student essays. One rainy afternoon in early 2016, Caleb was sorting through a roll of quarters he'd picked up from a local bank in Dover. He had no real expectations, perhaps a silver edge here or an older design there. But something about one Bombay Hook coin caught his eye. Under the soft desk lamp, he noticed that the coin's appearance was off, the lettering seemed weak, almost ghostly in spots, as if the legends had been only half whispered onto the surface. But more than that, the details of the heron's feathers, normally well-defined and elegant, were soft and blurry. Caleb examined the coin closer under a 10x loupe and saw that the devices were struck unevenly, as if the die had failed to impart the full design into the blank. The rim was slightly uneven, and the fields bore strange, swirling textures. It wasn't wear. It wasn't circulation. It was something else. That he set it aside, uncertain of what exactly he was seeing. Over the following weeks, Caleb consulted online forums, coin error databases, and other collectors. The responses were hesitant but intrigued. Some called it a strike-through grease error, a fairly common mistake where lubricants used in the coining presses interfere with die contact. Others speculated about die wear or improper die maintenance. But as Caleb cross-compared photos from other quarters, he noticed a disturbing consistency: all the flawed coins bore the same Denver mint mark. They were all 2015 Bombay Hook quarters, and the similarities went beyond random error. Caleb had stumbled onto something more than a singular anomaly. This was a die state issue, a flaw originating from a deteriorating or improperly prepared die that had been used repeatedly without correction. As the die wore down, it began producing increasingly distorted images. And the mint, either unaware or unbothered, had let the coins go into circulation. Once the coin collecting community grasped the scope, interest surged. Collectors who had initially dismissed the errors as mundane strike-throughs began realizing that there was a specific class of Bombay Hook quarters from Denver with a repeatable, identifiable flaw. These coins showed die fatigue, with degraded detail and irregular rim formation. In some cases, the birds on the reverse seemed to melt into the background, their outlines blurred like reflections on rippling water. As attention grew, examples started to surface on online auction platforms. At first, the prices were modest, perhaps $10, maybe $20. Some thought the hype would fade. But it didn't. Over the months, demand climbed steadily. More collectors sought the flawed quarters, especially those with clear signs of the error in mint state condition. The value crept up as supply remained tight. High-grade examples were difficult to find because most of these flawed coins had already seen somewhere. Then came the unexpected twist. A batch of uncirculated rolls from the Denver Mint was auctioned off through a private estate sale in Colorado. Among the rolls, a dealer discovered several Bombay Hook quarters that not only featured the known die wear issues but also included a dramatic anomaly. One coin showed a significant die clash, where the obverse and reverse dies had struck each other without a planchet between them. The result was a ghostly image of Washington's profile embedded into the marshland behind the heron. It looked like a mirage or an unintended double exposure on a photograph. This coin electrified the community. It proved that the die pair in question had suffered more severe damage than initially believed. It elevated the error from a common mint slip to a series of interrelated anomalies, degraded dies, strike-throughs, die clashes, all converging on the same design. The Bombay hook quarter had gone from a serene wildlife scene to the poster child for mint mishaps in the modern era. Collectors began to catalog the different error varieties: weak strike-throughs, misaligned dies, collapsed rims, die clashes. Some coins bore one flaw, others bore multiple. As the classification solidified, the value of well-preserved examples surged. Dealers listed mint state errors at increasingly ambitious price points, and to many surprise, buyers met those figures willingly. Caleb, the quiet man who had found the first clue, was overwhelmed. He was invited to speak at a regional coin expo and was gifted a professional-grade microscope for his contributions to identifying the variety. But for him, the joy was never in the fame or the price tags. It was the slow revelation of a mystery, the unraveling of a narrative hidden within pocket change. The mint never issued a public statement acknowledging the flawed Bombay hook dies, but internal documents acquired later under a Freedom of Information request revealed that maintenance logs for the Denver facility showed a higher-than-average number of die replacements in late 2015. It aligned perfectly with the timeline of the error coins. The anomaly was real, and the mint knew more than it let on. Today, collectors still hunt for the 2015 Bombay hook quarter error coins, especially those from Denver. They're not easy to find. The most prized examples are those that show multiple errors in high grade, particularly the few that bear die clash images. With their combination of artistic beauty and accidental distortion, these quarters have taken on a life beyond their original intention, and while countless 2015 quarters continue to clink through vending machines and change drawers unnoticed, a small subset stands apart, whispering the story of flawed steel, a quiet collector, and the surprise treasure found in the most ordinary place. Depending on the severity of the error and the preservation of the coin, the value of a 2015 U.S. Bombay hook quarter error ranges from $28,000 to $88,000. The 2019 American Memorial Park quarter emerged as part of the America the Beautiful Quarters program, a grand initiative by the United States Mint to honor national parks and significant sites across the nation and its territories. Located in the northern Mariana Islands, American Memorial Park commemorates the sacrifices of American and Marianas people during World War II. The design chosen for the reverse side of the coin was both dignified and evocative. A young woman stands in quiet reverence before the flag circle and court of honor, symbolizing remembrance and resilience. The image bore deep cultural weight, and its circulation marked one of the more emotionally charged releases of that year. The quarters were struck at multiple mints, including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Production ran smoothly by most standards, with design details carefully reviewed, die preparation procedures followed, and coin presses churning out millions. But somewhere in the mechanical rhythm of production, a flaw crept in, unnoticed by eyes too accustomed to uniformity. An error so obscure, it lay dormant in pockets, drawers, and bank rolls for months, hiding in plain sight. It was at a small coin show in Portland where the anomaly was first spotted by Lydia Maris, a lifelong collector known for her obsessive study of modern minting variations. She hadn't come to the event with grand expectations, only to sell a few duplicates and browse through dealer inventory. But when she passed by a bin labeled "State Quarters," 25 cents each, something about one particular coin called her attention. The 2019 American Memorial Park quarter looked ordinary at first glance, but the rim caught her eye. It appeared off-center, not dramatically, but just enough to raise a question. She picked it up, turned it under the fluorescent lighting, and noticed more anomalies. The D in Liberty was ghosted, almost floating. The 2019 date below Washington's profile appeared doubled. And on the reverse, the young woman's outline was slightly distorted, as if the die had been misaligned when the coin was struck. Her arm, outstretched toward the flag, looked to shimmer unnaturally. Lydia's fingers tensed. She knew this wasn't wear and tear. This was a strike error. A very specific kind. Back at her hotel room, Lydia examined the coin under her portable microscope. The doubling on the obverse, she realized, was not a simple mechanical doubling. It was a true doubled die, a flaw that occurred during the hubbing process, when the die received multiple, slightly misaligned impressions. That alone could have made the coin notable. But the off-center strike and slight rotation made it even rarer. This wasn't one error. It was a trio of them, stacked like hidden layers within a common design. She posted photos on a coin forum that evening. Replies trickled in, cautious at first, then more animated. Others had seen similar distortions but dismissed them as marginal or too minor to matter. Lydia's post sparked new interest. The next day, 2 more collectors confirmed that they had found similar examples. And by the week's end, an error coin dealer from Nevada confirmed possession of another, graded MS-65, with nearly identical features. The quarter began to take on mythic qualities. It wasn't easy to identify at a glance, especially in circulated condition. The doubling could be faint, and the off-center strike often so minor that it vanished under poor lighting. But in higher grades, where the die flaws remained unblemished by wear, the coin told a different story. It showed a mistake that unfolded in layers, slowly revealing itself with closer inspection. At first, examples sold quietly among niche collectors. Then prices climbed. $30. Then $100. A high-grade specimen fetched $450 in a late-night online auction. As word spread, dealers started searching through their backstock, flipping over trays of previously ignored 2019 quarters. Coin grading services began to receive more submissions of the American Memorial Park quarter than any other design that year. Lydia, having discovered the first recognized specimen, submitted hers to a top-tier grading company. The result, MS-66, designation for obverse double die, minor off-center strike, and die rotation, a combination that made it a true triple error. Only 2 other coins eventually received similar attributions, and both ranked lower in grade, but the story didn't end there. In late 2020, a collector in Guam, a territory close to the Northern Mariana Islands, reported finding a peculiar version of the same quarter. At first, he thought it was a fake. The young woman on the reverse was not just blurred, she appeared to have an extra limb. On closer inspection, it was determined that the reverse die had clashed with the obverse die at some point, leaving a faint impression of Washington's profile ghosted into the flag field. It was the only known example to show such a reverse clash. The Guam specimen became a sensation. Dealers speculated wildly about its origin. Was it part of a test batch? A production accident that made it to circulation by sheer oversight? Whatever the answer, it pushed the entire error class of the 2019 quarter into a new realm of value and mystique. Demand surged. Coin rolls were being opened across the country. People who had never looked closely at their quarters began squinting under kitchen lights, hoping to glimpse a doubled arm, a floating D, or the faintest off-center rim. Auctions began listing the error coins with escalating price ranges, and certification requests poured into grading houses. The market stabilized eventually, but at a much higher plateau than anyone expected. Most circulated examples with partial doubling now fetched respectable sums. But mint state coins with all 3 known errors became the cornerstone of modern error collections. Lydia never sold her discovery. For her, it remained a reminder of why she collected in the first place: the quiet thrill of discovery, the joy of attention to detail, and the subtle satisfaction of finding something extraordinary in the most ordinary of places. The 2019 American Memorial Park quarter error wasn't just a minting mistake. It was a layered riddle, hidden in plain sight, waiting for someone to ask the right questions, and depending on its condition and the clarity of the error, the coin has since been valued anywhere from several $100s up to just over $19,000 in pristine, certified condition, a remarkable rise for a coin that had once rested unnoticed in a 25-cent bin.